Hi guys, I'm GOATKEEPER, and today I'm going to be showing you guys some of the most solid custom tactics that I've put together, and that is for the 4-2-3-1 second variation, which might just be the most underrated formation in this game. The 4-2-3-1 is definitely a formation you guys will all be familiar with. It's a very kind of go-to formation, particularly in previous FIFAs. You don't see it so much this year. However, the key point of difference here is the 4-2-3-1 most people use or have used in the past is the version with the 3 cams. Now this version has a left mid and a right mid, and the main thing that makes me lean towards this version more so than the other one is that by having a left mid and a right mid, you've just naturally got a little bit more width, and you can really set this formation up to have that play to your advantage really strongly. You can really stretch teams out with this formation and create tons of space in the middle then for your central attacking midfielder and your striker. The way we've got this one set up definitely plays to that. It's all about stretching the opponent out, creating spaces in the middle. But the thing I loved about these tactics and why I wanted to share them with you guys is that I was scoring such a variety of goals with this formation. I was scoring skill goals, I was scoring really slow, cool, build-up passing goals, I was scoring a lot of long-range goals, and there's a certain way we've set up the two holding mids in this to really get involved where the long shots are concerned as well. The custom tactics. So we'll start off with the defensive style. That is just going to be unbalanced. For the defensive width, this is as narrow as 30. I started with this at 40, and I was getting absolutely killed through the middle. And literally mid-game, in the first game I was trying with this formation, I dropped it straight to 30, and it completely changed this formation for me right off the bat. Having 30 width is very narrow, and it is more narrow than I normally go with a 4-back. However, what it does mean is if the opponent does get in behind, you are so tightly knit to each other at the back. Even if they get in, there's not really anywhere for them to go. Any shooting opportunities that they have against you are generally going to be blocked either by the AI or the player you're controlling. It's kind of unfair really with how this works, but it just really cuts off any shooting opportunities in the box. For the depth, like the width, I started with this at a different number. This started at 55, I believe. But even at 55, which is normally okay in other formations, in this one I still felt I was getting pinned back and sort of letting the opponent just sort of overwhelm me. So I upped this to 60. And then it wasn't an issue after that. So with the defensive width and depth on this formation, I would really recommend avoiding kind of what you know and really going with how I've set this up, because it really didn't seem to work with the bar at the points. Into the offence, so build up play balanced, chance creation, as always that is going to be on direct passing. For the attacking width, now in most of the custom tactics I share with you guys, you generally will notice the width tends to be just a little bit lower, and that normally lends to just being able to link the passes together quicker. However, with the 4-2-3-1, its strengths are in the fact that it's got those wide men, and they really are a key focus point in the way this plays. By increasing the width, you're just allowing those players to stretch the opponent's defence more. By upping the width, you're only just leaning into what makes this formation so strong. So a higher attacking width on this formation is definitely key. For the players in the box, we will have this on 6. This just allows the players that we will have on a stay back instruction, which we'll get to. It just allows them to still be involved in the attack while still kind of playing that anchor role as well. For corners and free kicks, as always, just go with whatever your personal preference is. Myself, I just leave this on 1 to avoid the counter attacks. Player instructions, starting with the striker, and then we'll work our way down. So your striker is just going to be on stay central. In this formation, we obviously have dedicated wide men, so there's no need for our striker to be wandering into those wide positions. So stay central just ensures they literally stay in the middle where we want them to be. I don't use a getting behind instruction because I'm using Cruyff at the moment, and I love his attacking AI and his high-low. So his high-low kind of gets him those getting behind runs anyway, so I don't need to force them. And by not forcing them, he does more creative runs true to the card's AI, and it's not just like generic running in a straight line. So I would only recommend putting on the getting behind instruction if you have a striker whose AI you don't get along with for this formation. However, realistically, try and find a striker whose AI you do get along with. For For the central attacking midfielder, they're just going to be on get into the box for cross. This is a very staple instruction for a central attacking midfielder. It just ensures that when you are out wide and you're working that ball into the box, they are always there as a passing option. And it just helps the cam get more involved in goals and score more as well. For your left midfielder and your right midfielder, they are both just going to be on comeback on defence and get into the box for cross. Comeback on defence is just to help us get numbers back, and it will naturally defend in a 4-4-2 this formation. You'll naturally see your cam, because he isn't on comeback, sort of sit with the striker, and then your left mid and right mid just retreat with the rest of the team. Getting to the box for cross and the wingers is very much the same as for the cam. It just ensures when you are working the ball in from one wing, the other winger is then tucking into the box as a passing option as someone on the back stick. Like the striker, I do not use the getting behind instruction in this formation. It just makes it a little bit too robotic, and generally with where they position themselves in this formation, it's really easy just to manually trigger the runs, get player locks involved. You know, there's a lot you can do manually and on the sticks in this formation. Nothing has to be forced. Both of our central defensive midfielders are going to be on stay back while attacking and cover centre. This is so we've got an anchor on either side of the midfield. It means the cam always has two passing options to drop the ball back to. Either winger also has a defensive midfielder they can drop the ball back to. It's really, really easy to keep the ball constantly having these two anchors there as support. But because we did up that players in the box instruction all the way up to 6, it does mean these will push forward. They will be very, very involved with the interplay. And with the way that I've got this set up specifically, which I'll get to later on in the video, but essentially having a left-footed CDM on the left and a right-footed CDM on the right, they're very much always on the edges, and they always get into positions to shoot, and particularly very, very dangerous with Travellas in this formation. So I know I talk about Travellas a lot, and it's often the wingers that are your threat for those. In this formation, your holding midfielders are so nasty with these. The way they're set up, they are always there, and they're always in a lot more space to do them because they're naturally sat a bit deeper. So the opponent is kind of having to press you more in order to close those shooting opportunities down, and they just don't have enough time to do it. The left back and the right back are both on stay back while attacking and overlap. Overlap is just nice for when there are opportunities to venture forward. The AI naturally kind of allows them to. But realistically, they're on stay back because this is a quite compact, robust formation, and one that is hard to break down. And keeping these on stay back just helps lean into that. The centre backs and the goalkeeper are also on their default instructions, so that is stay back for the centre backs, and the goalkeeper I just keep on balanced. If you like the comes across as sweeper keeper, then by all means go for it, but that's not my preference. Next, we'll talk about what players that you should use to get the most out of the formation. So we'll start with the striker once again and work our way down. So starting with the striker, there are two things that come to mind for this formation specifically. The first thing is if you can have a striker with some of the more favourable shooting traits, that will really help. The outside of the foot shot is a good one. Finesse shot always helps. Because when you've got one striker, and you never really know what angle they're going to be shooting from. You know, it's not a two-striker formation where you've got a right foot on the right, always shooting across goal, left foot on the left, always shooting across goal. When they're more centrally based, and they're going to be shooting from these kind of weird positions, the shooting traits just give you the more favourable animations and just give you the most consistent finishing in the box. The second thing I would say, once again, because they are a lone striker, the better the skill moves, the better the weak foot is more preferable. I would honestly aim for a 5-star player up front in this formation just because they're often going to be on their weaker foot and they're often going to be in positions where it is necessary to manoeuvre on the ball with them. So I would say you really need to be going for a top tier card here. Like I've got Cruyff, an R9, a Footbertha Eusebio. You know, someone like this is going to truly help get the most out of this formation. For the central attacking midfielder, you just need someone that kind of has that class, you know. They are the most involved player on the attack because the DMs will distribute the ball to them. They'll be dropping it back to the DMs. They'll be the one feeding in the wingers. They'll be the one the striker drops the ball back to when there isn't a passing option. You know, the cam is the absolute heartbeat of this kind of team. He's literally got the 5 other attackers around him. So it's extremely important, once again, that they have a lot of ability on the ball. If you do use skill moves, absolutely aim for 5. You want them to be able to shoot from range and close close range because they will be in positions to do both. Essentially, you want as high a caliber player here as possible. For your left mid and right mid, I'm not just going to constantly say get the best in the game, I promise. So for your left mid and right mid, the main things here is just pace, ability on the ball, but that can just be in agility, balance, dribbling. You know, 5-star skills are not necessarily necessary, but I always find that they help because you've just got more things that you can do on the ball to create space. But someone like an Alawiran, for example, is obviously the kind of player you're still going to have success with on the wings in this kind of setup. So 5-star skill moves isn't super necessary, and I don't think a really strong weak foot is either. It's just about having that like absolutely cutting pace, and also just a body type that's more on the leaner side. So a lean body type, a unique body type, you know, these kinds of things just help the dribbling animations and such come off a lot more in your favour. Just make sure you've got someone with a decent final product as well, because you're obviously relying on these players to cross the ball, to finish in those wider spaces. So you still need some final product on them, but don't feel like they have to be super high at base. You can always use the chemistry style to boost these. Next is the central defensive midfielders. So there's quite a bit of criteria here. I would recommend a left footer on the left, a right footer on the right. I would recommend a more box-to-box style like a Modric, and a more dedicated DM like a Marino, or just another kind of big man that still has shooting capabilities. Speaking of shooting capabilities, both of them need the outside of the foot shot trait and no more than 89 shot power, and that's because for whatever reason, with the way this is formatted, these guys get into positions to shoot constantly. Power shots, travellas, you name it. These two players, with the way this is formatted, just get so many opportunities to shoot from range, and I'm getting so many goals off of it with this formation, and with how the mechanics are in this game for long shots. It is just fantastic, and it's a great way to just nab a goal when you can't break through the opponent's defence. For your left back and your right back, you just want bags of pace, good passing, and generally I always recommend for a wing back to be very rounded. And the reason I say that is if you do want to switch into other formations where they are more offensive, then it is important to have that ability going forward. I would say in this formation though, specifically if you have your corners and free kicks on the 1 bar, your wing-backs are often the ones that the ball gets played short to. So from like corners and free kicks, you will often be taking long shots if you're going for them with these players. So it is very handy for them to have some shooting capabilities as well, because you will also, like the DMs, be in positions to shoot from range with these players. For your centre-backs, you want the fast, strong, lengthy centre-backs. The higher calibre, the better, because you're going to get the more favourable defensive animations with the tackles and the blocks. As for your goalkeeper, literally whoever works. I hope you enjoyed the video today, guys, and more than anything, I just hope you get on well with the tactics. If you do try them out, let me know down below how you got on with them. I will link my custom tactics playlist in the description for you guys in case there's any others that you want to check out. If you did make it this far in the video, as always, I really appreciate your guys' time. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and turn your bell on. Take care, guys.